friends and new and regular listeners. A warm welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. My name is Henrik and this is Internet Talk Radio, recorded from the west coast of Sweden. Thank you for tuning in. Very nice to have you along here today. On Thursdays and Sundays we are here highlighting research and information for your consideration. Our website is redicecreations.com. Stop by for frequently updated news, links, resources, videos, our member section, the forums, and much more. And today on the program we have Ian Crane back with us on the show. We first had Ian with us back in May, talking about Codex Alimentarius and the New World Order's quest for Zion in 2012. About 2 weeks after that we had the young man Rick Clay with us, talking about a similar topic, connecting many threads about 2012, the London Olympics, Zion, Project Blue Beam, and Prince William, and much more. And I also think that Rick and Ian corresponded a little bit back and forth around that same time. And as you probably know right now, as you're listening to this program, you probably know that Rick Clay is dead. He has left us. He has passed away. And myself and Ian are going to talk a little bit about this here today. We're going to talk about Rick Clay at the beginning of the program and talk about what we know happened so far and the importance of integration, if you will, of information and these kinds of topic, how to deal with information and how this is relating to your own perception in a way and if there's some kind of lesson, if you will, that we can learn from this and take with us and hopefully prevent this in a way from happening again and so forth. It's very important and I think it's important also to recognize that something can be learned out of this horrific event here. And we waited commenting on Rick Clay's death on this show simply because we have not been able to get a hold of someone close to Rick that could tell us what has happened, and we didn't want to spur on these rumors and assertions that surfaced and floated around on the web that Rick was murdered. We felt that there was no reason to start speculating. Instead, we wanted to kind of wait and let this sink in until we could reach someone close to Rick that could tell us something that we could go on and bring forward or mention further to you guys about what happened and so forth. We also waited to comment on this out of respect for Rick's family and his friends, of course, to leave some room and some time to let this sink in, to let some breathing space here for his family before sending like 300 emails and demanding answers about whatever. But some people just can't seem to let this sink in and have a bloody rest before starting to speculate and consequently then knowing at that point with 100% certainty what has happened. Although they never met Rick or never talked to him, they're like hovering vultures waiting to almost pick the bones, if you will, and get a piece of the action without realizing that what has happened has now happened, and no matter how much we speculate, it won't bring Rick back. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't ask questions. Of course we should. This is very healthy. I think it's a good sign of concern about each other, a sign that people care. Asking questions and wanting to find out is a key aspect of all of this. But to make assertions and coming to premature conclusions and then blabbering out these ideas and theories as absolute facts or absolute proof that this has happened, that's another thing here. So anyway, today on Thursday, September the 11th, 2008, Rick Clay's ashes will be scattered, or has been scattered actually at this time that we're doing this program. And what we've been able to make of the situation so far, after speaking to a very, very close friend of Rick's yesterday, and I won't mention his or her name here today simply because I'm actually waiting on a yes or no if I can name this person and if I can fully share this story with you guys. I'm waiting for that confirmation, if you will, before I share everything with you here today. But what I've learned at this point then is that Rick decided to take his own life. Also, Daniel Tatman, a good friend and guest on this radio program, was in contact with Rick's mother just a short while ago. She also mentioned that Rick decided to take his own life. And I know that some people will have another opinion about this. That's fine. But I want to let you know that we have talked with 2 people close to Rick. And at this point, I don't see any proof at all that Rick was murdered. if I see proof that points in this direction, I will look at that point and reevaluate the situation. But that's not the case at this point. It needs to be mentioned also, of course, again, that paranoia goes hand in hand with conspiracy research. It's rampant. It comes with the territory in a way, and that's part of some people's journey as well. That's fine. We should also mention, of course, that just because you're paranoid, that doesn't mean that they aren't after you, and all of that kind of that context. Murder happens, absolutely. People like David Kelly comes to mind, suspicious murders, but in the case of David Kelly, there's something to go on, some kind of physical evidence, testimony or eyewitness inconsistencies. But so far, when it comes to Rick, I haven't heard or read anything that points in this direction. Nothing there is no proof here, so to speak, that Rick was murdered. And some people might point to his mood, that he was very cheerful when we talked to him on the program, so therefore he couldn't have done it. But it's very easy to forget that there's also a human being behind the research and behind the blog or the website. A human being that, just like all of us, is struggling with oneself, having doubts about themselves and the world, struggling with everyday issues, struggling with insecurity perhaps, and especially being into conspiracy research, just asking the questions, shit, am I nuts to believe this stuff? Is this really going on? Am I losing it? Can it really be true? Kind of inner dialogue. So for me, anyway, personally, I will always leave room for the possibility that I might be wrong. So for me to make assertions with that kind of 100% certainty, without any kind of evidence, that's not rational. And you who are listening to this have the right to believe whatever you want to believe, obviously. But I'm upset about the fact that when people assert that this was murder, it to me takes away the fact that there was a human being and a personality behind the research, a person who, just like us at times, are struggling with ourselves, the world, and everything that is going on. And just because, as I said, Rick was full of energy, sounded upbeat and positive on the radio programs we did with him, does that mean that he couldn't have changed, that he couldn't have doubts about himself, about what he was into, about his discoveries? We don't know how he might have reacted by hearing 4 hours of himself and his own research coming back to him, so to speak. It might have sounded strange to him. It might have not have come out the way he wanted to. Or it could be something else, nothing to do with the radio program we did with him, but from the attention and the overall feedback via his blog that kind of was momentously building in a way. I don't know. But shouldn't we recognize that there is a human being behind all this that has his own psychology to deal with, his own responses and reactions? So in a nutshell, what Rick's friends relayed to me is that back in June, one evening under stress and extreme overthinking, he did lose his mind, and he wasn't ready to plunge into the depths that he did. And for 3 months after this event, he apparently was very far removed from himself. And on August the 28th, Rick decided to take his own life. And as I said, I won't read the entire account to you right here because of, as I said, out of respect for his friend, and I want to wait until I can get a yes or no, the permission, if you will, to read the entire message and potentially share that with you guys. So there you have it. At this point, this is what I have to go on, and until another story emerges or some other detail, whatever it might be, this is what we have to go on. I believe this, and I feel that this is the truth. I personally didn't know Rick all that well. We talked very briefly before the program we did, and very briefly afterwards. I personally don't know what kind of person Rick was. He was very new into this kind of material. He went into it with 110% enthusiasm. He kind of moved so fast, so quickly into this. It's very, one reason that we wanted him back on the show as well, to do 2 programs in a row like that, because he was moving so fast, and there was kind of a rush in a way in his research, which is pretty interesting now when I'm thinking back of this again. But anyway, we tried to calm things down a bit, and with that second Q&A program that we did. But with that being said, awakening is a great thing. There's so much momentum and energy. The hunger for information is incredible, just as it should be. One should, one is connected to the muse in a way, and the information and ideas flows through you in a wonderful way. I think one should surf on the energy of that wave. but one needs to be careful not to be drawn down and into the abyss as well. So make up your own mind about this. Me personally, I don't think that he was murdered, as I've said and stated now. It's important to recognize that esoteric and hidden or occult information is a powerful thing, and conspiracy research is it's a powerful subject, and there have been people in the past that have been, losing their minds on different levels because they can't handle it. One should never be afraid, of course, to investigate, to believe, or have curiosity and an inquisitive mind about these things, but there needs to be a respect for the subject matter as well, a healthy kind of detachment from it all, and a healthy balance. One also needs to live one's life, and having a laugh, having a few drinks with some friends or whatever, go out into nature, play, create, paint, draw, have some fun, laugh, disconnect from it all for a while. I think that that's vital to your mental health. It's so important for your personal balance. And I'm not saying that Rick didn't do all of these things, but people are very different. This is something that you have to feel for yourself. You have to know yourself. And I'm just saying that sitting in front of the black screen to the world, as it were, your computer monitor, the Palantir, as I call it sometimes, sitting in front of that and with that too much shaping your worldview solely through the information that is gained there, that might not be so great all the time for you. It's like anything, like watching too much TV. Many know that will make you go nuts in one way and psychologically weak, in another. And I think that this shouldn't be solely the main source that dominates your life or shape all our opinions about the world. It all depends on where you look, of course, and what you're looking for. Some people might do fine with absorbing very much information all the time, but demands and pressure is a very powerful thing. So this was Rick's journey on this planet, this time around at least. I'm very proud to have been able to talk to Rick and be part of what he did and the information that he synthesized and brought forward. And I will miss him, although I didn't know him that well. I will miss him, definitely. So with that being said, now I want to hear from Ian Crane. I want to thank you for coming on back to the show, Ian, and thanks for letting me go through that introduction to this program and read that out. It was very important for me to do that and just kind of state my position, at least, on this. But, with that, thank you for coming on, Ian. How are you?
Hi, Henrik. Hey, it's good to be back with you, although unfortunate timing for all the reasons you just stated, of course.
Yes. So, I guess that you heard about this a while back as well, about Rick, and as I understand it, were you in contact with Rick yourself personally, or via email or something like that?
Actually, to answer your first question, I heard about this last Friday morning via an anonymous email. I mean, I don't follow the forums particularly. I find that you can get bogged down in those and end up down a lot of blind alleys. But I received an anonymous email last Friday morning which advised me of Rick's death, and in fact I invited the author of that email to call me, which he did, and he explained as much as he knew during the course of that phone conversation. And I did actually ask one of the moderators of the David Icke forum to post up my condolences to his family, because I mean, although I'm certainly of the mindset that Rick has simply just moved to another place.
Yes.
It's just the end of the physical vehicle, not the end of Rick Clay per se. But I asked to post the condolences to the family. I didn't actually have any email exchanges with Rick, other than shortly after his blog appeared, he did write to me and acknowledge the fact that the springboard to his research had actually been attending my presentation at Glastonbury last year, the Fool Me Once presentation. Mm-hmm. And I wrote back to him and said, good to hear from you, Rick. Please feel free to give me a call sometime. And I gave in the email, I gave my phone numbers, but unfortunately